He kicked me out for his pregnant side chick. My revenge left everyone shocked. How could this happen? How could the man I married, the man I trusted, throw me out of our own home for someone else? What happens when the woman who thought she had it all, the career, the house, the husband, loses everything? I didn't just let him walk away. I didn't just accept it. I fought back, and what I did next shocked everyone. But first, let me show you how it all started. Lily Richardson stepped into the gleaming marble foyer of her luxurious penthouse, a slight smile playing on her lips as she admired the reflection of her brand-new black dress in the floor-to-ceiling windows. The city skyline beyond was a sea of shimmering lights. Every inch of her life had been meticulously crafted. From the polished floors to the carefully curated artwork hanging on the walls, everything in her world was an embodiment of success. A successful entrepreneur in the fashion industry, Lily had spent years building her boutique into a high-end, sought-after brand. She had done it all on her own, no handouts, no favors, just pure, unwavering determination. She had clawed her way to the top, and it had been worth every sacrifice. Her phone buzzed on the marble countertop, and Lily glanced at it with practiced indifference. It was a message from Alice, her assistant, confirming that the evening's event was ready for her grand entrance. But something about the silence of the room felt off tonight, like a shadow she couldn't shake. It wasn't the first time Lily had sensed the growing distance between her and Tom. She had noticed it for months now, but tonight something was different. She couldn't put her finger on it, but her instincts told her that this night wasn't going to go as planned. Lily stood still for a moment, allowing herself to feel the weight of the moment. In the reflection, she could see her own uncertainty flicker behind the poised, confident exterior. What had happened to them? What had happened to him? Tom had once been her rock, the man who had stood by her side when her business was nothing but a dream, when she was barely scraping by. Back then, he had told her he was proud of her, that he admired her ambition, that he loved her more than anything. But now, even in their own home, she couldn't remember the last time they had shared a meal together or talked about their future. She grabbed her phone again and dialed his number. No answer. Again. Nothing. It had been weeks since they'd had an honest conversation. She had been too wrapped up in the business, too focused on her career. She knew she had neglected him, but never once had she imagined it would lead to this. She stepped out of the room and into the hallway where Alice was waiting for her. Alice, with her ever-present smile, always seemed to know when something was off with Lily. "You ready, boss?" Alice asked, her tone bright and upbeat. Lily forced a smile and nodded. "Yeah, just about. I'll head to the car in a minute." Alice hesitated for a moment before speaking again. "I'm sure Tom's just caught up with work, Lily. He'll be there. You know how he gets." Lily nodded absently, but Alice could see the worry in her eyes. "I know," Lily muttered softly, her voice trailing off. As she turned to head out, her phone buzzed again, Tom's name flashing across the screen. This time, she answered. "Tom?" Her voice was a mixture of hope and uncertainty. There was a long pause before Tom's voice came through, thick with distraction. "Hey, Lil. Sorry I can't make it tonight. I'm stuck at the office. Some urgent matters with a client." Lily's stomach dropped. She glanced at Alice, who was watching her carefully. Her gut told her there was more to it than that, but she said nothing. "Okay, well, enjoy your night then," Lily said, forcing a calmness she didn't feel. "You too," Tom said. The line went dead. Lily held the phone to her ear for a moment longer than necessary, staring at her reflection in the hallway mirror. It felt like her whole world had just tilted. The drive to the event was a blur. Lily stared out of the window as the city's lights passed by in a haze, each street lamp a reminder of how far she had come and how far she had fallen. She couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. At the event, guests mingled in the luxurious ballroom, toasting to success and beauty. Lily entered with a perfect smile, her heels clicking confidently on the polished marble floor, but inside, her mind was elsewhere. She felt like an actress on stage, playing a role she no longer knew how to perform. The event was a success as always. Her brand was thriving and she had the accolades to prove it. But the most important person in her life, Tom, wasn't there. And it cut deeper than she had anticipated. Alice found her later in the evening, her face pale as she approached Lily. "I overheard something that might not be good, Lily," Alice whispered, her voice trembling. Lily turned toward her, already sensing what was coming. "What is it?" she asked, her pulse quickening. I heard Tom talking to someone on the phone. He was with another woman, Alice said, voice cracking. He told her he couldn't be with you anymore, that he was leaving you for her. And she's pregnant. Lily's heart stopped. Pregnant? 1,000 questions raced through her mind. A wave of nausea hit her as her vision blurred. She felt her legs weaken beneath her as the shock of the words echoed in her ears. Pregnant? How could he? Was this all just a lie? Everything they had built? The trust, the promises? Who is she? Lily's voice barely rose above a whisper, her throat tightening. I don't know. He didn't say her name, but it sounded like he had already made up his mind, Alice said, her voice barely audible. Lily stood motionless, her mind spinning. The room seemed to close in around her. How could this be happening? How had she missed it? Was it always there, hidden behind the facade of their life? Her eyes narrowed, the sharpness of her anger rising. This wasn't just betrayal, it was humiliation. And he had no idea what he had just unleashed. The scene ends with Lily standing in the center of the ballroom, her thoughts a whirlwind of disbelief, betrayal, and a burning desire for revenge. The camera pulls away slowly, leaving her alone, but her resolve hardening. The night had only just begun. The days that followed were a blur. Lily had spent the next few days in a haze of disbelief and confusion, pretending everything was fine when nothing was. It was as if she were watching someone else's life unfold, a life that seemed too perfect to be hers. But the cracks were there, and now they were impossible to ignore. Her marriage, once filled with laughter and warmth, had crumbled overnight. And Tom, the man she had built everything with, had shattered it all with a single phone call. Lily hadn't spoken to him since the night of the event. She had spent the past few days in the office, working late hours, ignoring her phone and any texts or calls from him. She wasn't ready to face him. How could she? How could she face the man who had betrayed her in such a cruel, heartless way? It was the third day after the event when Tom finally called again. Lily's phone rang just as she was heading out of her office, ready to leave for the night. Her hand hovered over the screen for a moment, then with a deep sigh, she answered. Tom, she said, her voice cold, her hands trembling slightly. Lil, listen, I know you're upset. I've been thinking about what happened and I need to explain. Tom's voice came through, thick with guilt but also laced with urgency. Lily stood still, her body rigid with tension. Explain? Explain what, Tom? That you've been lying to me for months? That you've been seeing someone else? That you're leaving me for her? Her voice cracked as the words left her lips, but she quickly steadied herself. Tom faltered, then seemed to gather himself. I never meant for it to happen like this. It's just, things haven't been right for a while. I've been trying to make it work, but... You've been trying? Lily interrupted, her voice sharp. Tom, you didn't try. You've been neglecting me and now you're telling me that you're leaving for someone else? And she's pregnant? The anger surged, each word a weapon. How long has this been going on? Lil, please, Tom started, but Lily could barely listen anymore. His words felt like hollow excuses. Tell me, she demanded, her heart racing. Tell me it's true. Tell me you've been lying to me. Tell me you've been seeing her for months behind my back. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Lily could hear Tom's shallow breathing, his hesitation. Then, finally, the words she didn't want to hear. Yes, it's true, he said quietly. I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you, but I've been seeing Vanessa for some time now. And yes, she's pregnant. She's carrying my child. Lily's breath caught in her throat, her heart sinking. Every word he said felt like a punch to the gut, each one confirming the nightmare she had been trying to deny. She wanted to scream at him, to demand more answers, but instead she felt something different rise within her, a coldness that she didn't recognize. I see, she whispered, her voice deceptively calm. So, you're going to leave me for her? Tom didn't reply immediately. When he did, it was almost in a tone of resignation. I think it's for the best, Lil. I've been distant for a long time and you know that. I need to be there for Vanessa and the baby. I can't keep pretending like everything's fine between us. Lily's grip on the phone tightened, her nails biting into the screen. She fought to keep her composure, but the weight of his words was suffocating. The man she had loved, the man she had given everything to, had just told her that their marriage was over. And for a pregnant woman, no less. Is that what you really want? Lily asked quietly, her voice low, dangerous. You want to be with her? With someone who's nothing but a side chick? Someone you've been sneaking around with behind my back? There was another silence, but this time Tom's voice was softer, regretful. I never wanted to hurt you, Lil. I swear. But I can't keep living a lie. A bitter laugh escaped Lily's lips, sharp and humorless. You've been living a lie, Tom. You just didn't think I'd find out. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her shaking hands. You know what? Fine. Go ahead. Be with her. But don't ever come back to me. Don't ever think I'll be that woman you come crawling back to when it all falls apart. Because it will. Tom was silent for a moment before speaking again, his voice barely a whisper. I'm sorry. Lily hung up the phone without another word. For a moment she stood there, staring at the screen, the weight of his words crashing down on her. The betrayal, the lies, the audacity of it all, it felt like a crushing blow to her chest. She closed her eyes, her fists clenched at her sides. She had spent years building this life with Tom. Together they had built everything. And now, just like that, it was gone. But then, slowly, the anger began to rise. It was like a fire in her veins, hot and unstoppable. She had been the one who had always given, who had always supported him, and now she had been thrown aside like she didn't matter. But she would make him regret it. Lily didn't know how long she stood there, but when she finally moved, it was with a new purpose. She picked up her phone and dialed Alice. Alice, I need you to set up a meeting with James. I need him to know that I'm no longer just a woman trying to make it in this world. I need him to see that I'm more than that. I'm going to show Tom what it really costs to lose me. Alice's voice was full of curiosity and concern. Lily, what are you planning? Lily's lips curled into a cold smile. You'll see. Just make the call. As Lily walked out of the office that evening, a sense of clarity washed over her. It wasn't just about revenge, it was about reclaiming her life. The world Tom had built, the life they had together, was now her battleground. And she was going to make sure he understood that he had made the biggest mistake of his life. Lily spent the following week preparing for the next phase of her life. The betrayal, as devastating as it had been, ignited a fire inside her that she hadn't felt in years. Her business, her brand, everything she had built on her own was now her weapon. She would not let Tom take everything from her. If he wanted to discard her, she would make sure he would regret it. But this time she would be the one calling the shots. It wasn't just about punishing him, it was about showing him what he had lost. And she wasn't about to let some pregnant side chick take what was hers. Not without a fight. The meeting with James, the investor and Tom's rival in the real estate market, had been arranged. James had been interested in her business for some time, admiring the way she had turned her boutique into a powerhouse. He was charming, successful, and more than a little intrigued by Lily's sharp mind and strong will. She needed him to make a statement. She needed him to be the spark that would set Tom's world ablaze. Lily had already started playing the game, subtle moves, calculated actions. She began using her network of contacts to plant small seeds of doubt about Tom's business ventures. James was the perfect pawn. He had been quietly making moves behind the scenes, and now Lily was going to help him escalate them to the next level. It was the day of the charity event she had been planning for weeks. The evening was to showcase her brand, but she had something else in mind, something that would throw Tom off balance. She had invited all of the key players in her life, including James, and she knew Tom would be there, trying to salvage his pride. It would be the perfect stage for her next move. Lily stood at the top of the stairs leading to the ballroom, adjusting her dress one final time. Her reflection in the polished surface of the stairs was flawless. Her heart raced, but this time it wasn't out of fear. It was the thrill of what was to come. She was no longer the neglected wife of a man who had cheated on her. She was a woman who had built her own empire and would tear his apart if she had to. Below, the ballroom was already filled with guests, investors, clients, and influencers. The music was upbeat, the atmosphere alive with excitement, but Lily's focus was entirely on the man who had caused her so much pain. Tom stood across the room, dressed in his usual suit, but there was something different about him. He was clearly uncomfortable, glancing around as if expecting someone. He hadn't seen Lily yet, and she made sure to keep it that way. Lily took a deep breath and made her way down the stairs, her heels clicking loudly against the marble floor. She wasn't going to waste time anymore. She walked with purpose, her every step calculated, her mind fixed on the game she was about to play. When she reached the bottom of the stairs, she made her way directly to James, who was standing by the bar, looking as dashing as ever in a tailored suit. He looked up when she approached, his face lighting up with a smile. "You look stunning, Lily," James said, his voice smooth and warm. "Thank you, James," Lily replied with a smile, her voice cold but controlled. She took a glass of champagne from a passing waiter, holding it delicately between her fingers. "Are you ready for the night?" "I'm always ready when you are," he said with a wink, his eyes glinting. "I must admit I'm intrigued. This event, your charity initiative, it's all impressive." "It's just the beginning," Lily said, her gaze never leaving Tom, who was now talking to a group of investors near the center of the room. "I have big plans, and you're going to be a part of them." James raised an eyebrow but didn't press further. "If you need anything, you know I'm here." "Thank you," Lily said, her eyes narrowing as she watched Tom's interaction. He was too absorbed in his conversation to notice her, but she could tell he was tense. It was exactly what she wanted. At that moment, a server walked past, and Lily discreetly passed James a small slip of paper. He took it with a questioning glance, but she simply smiled and nodded. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a few things to take care of," Lily said, turning toward the crowd. She didn't look back as she made her way through the ballroom, but she could feel the tension building in her chest. It was time for the next move. Later that evening, after speeches and toasts had been made, Lily took the stage. The guests fell silent, their attention fully on her. "I want to thank all of you for coming tonight," Lily began, her voice calm but firm, projecting confidence. "This event is not just a celebration of my brand, but a chance to support a cause that is very close to my heart. It's about helping others, lifting each other up, and using our platforms to make a real difference." She paused, letting the silence hang in the air before continuing. "But tonight isn't just about charity," she said, a small smile playing at the corners of her lips. "It's also about showing the world that we as women can rise above. We can do anything we set our minds to, whether it's in business, in our personal lives, or in whatever challenges come our way." She cast a glance at Tom, who was now watching her with a mixture of confusion and concern. But she didn't let his presence affect her. She was in control now. "And with that," she said, "I'd like to introduce my new business partner." The crowd murmured, their curiosity piqued. Lily stepped aside to reveal James, who stood tall beside her, a confident smile on his face. "I've teamed up with James Scott," Lily continued, "to expand my brand and take it to new heights. Together, we will revolutionize the fashion industry, and we're just getting started." There was a ripple of applause through the room, but Lily didn't miss the way Tom's face drained of color. His eyes flicked between her and James, a mix of jealousy and fear written all over his face. But Lily wasn't done yet. "This partnership," she continued, "also represents something much more than business. It's about recognizing that we, as women, have the power to shape our futures, regardless of the people who try to tear us down. And believe me, I've learned that the hard way." The crowd grew silent, the weight of her words sinking in. Lily's eyes locked with Tom's, and she held his gaze for a moment longer than necessary. The intensity in her stare was undeniable. "I've learned that when you take everything from someone, you better be prepared to lose everything in return." She smiled again, coldly, before stepping back. Lily stood at the edge of the crowd, her heart beating fast but steady. She had done it. She had made her statement. Tom was on the brink of losing everything, his pride, his business, and his sense of control. The night was still young, and Lily was only getting started. She could see it in Tom's eyes, he was terrified. And that was exactly what she had wanted. The weeks that followed Lily's dramatic announcement at the charity event were filled with calculated moves and subtle power plays. Tom was unraveling, his carefully crafted empire beginning to crumble under the pressure. His business dealings, once smooth and unchallenged, were now facing unexpected setbacks. Rumors swirled in the circles they both once ruled, and Lily had made sure of it. She had subtly whispered her influence into the ears of the right people, ensuring that Tom's image, his golden reputation, began to tarnish in the public eye. But tonight it would all come to a head. Lily had invited Tom to meet with her under the guise of discussing the divorce and their shared assets. He had reluctantly agreed, though his pride wouldn't allow him to walk away without trying to save face. But Lily had no intention of letting him off easy. The setting was a high-end restaurant, its sleek, modern interior bathed in warm lighting. The ambience screamed success, something Lily had always known and now fully owned. She sat at a table for two, her posture perfect, her expression calm but sharp. There was a glass of wine in front of her, untouched. She was waiting for him. Tom arrived late, his usual confidence overshadowed by the tension that seemed to hang over him. He walked into the restaurant, his eyes scanning the room, and when they landed on Lily, he paused. For a moment, he simply stood there, assessing her, his wife, the woman he had betrayed, the woman who now controlled the fate of everything he had worked for. "Lily," he said as he walked toward the table, his voice strained, but there was still that familiar arrogance in it. "I didn't think you'd actually want to meet like this." Lily didn't stand to greet him. She just watched him as he took his seat, her eyes cold and calculating. "I didn't think you'd agree to meet me at all," she replied, her voice smooth, but underneath it was a cold edge. "But I guess you're not so confident now that your world is falling apart." Tom frowned, clearly unsettled by her tone. "What do you want, Lily? You've made your point. You've got James backing you now, and you've done enough damage to my business. What more do you want?" Lily took a slow sip of her wine, watching him carefully. "I want what's mine, Tom. And I want you to understand the consequences of what you've done." Tom opened his mouth to respond, but before he could say anything, Lily raised a hand, signaling him to stop. "You took everything from me," she continued, her voice low but firm. "You took my trust, my time, my love. And when you chose her over me, you thought you could simply walk away without consequences." Tom shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He was no longer the confident man who had once dismissed her concerns. "I told you I'm sorry. I never meant for things to get this way. I thought." "You thought?" Lily's voice rose slightly, cutting him off. "You thought you could just discard me and walk away and that would be the end of it?" She shook her head, a bitter smile tugging at her lips. "No, Tom. That's not how this works." The waiter arrived at the table just then, setting down 2 plates of food. But Lily wasn't interested in eating. She hadn't eaten since the morning, her mind focused on only one thing, ending this chapter of her life once and for all. Tom picked up his fork, but Lily didn't even glance at the food. "Everything's been set in motion, Tom," Lily said, her voice calm once more, but now there was a hard edge to it. "The investors, the partners, they're all watching. You can try to salvage your business, try to get things back to how they were, but the truth is, you've already lost. People know who you really are now." Tom's expression shifted from concern to confusion. "What are you talking about? I still have the company. I'm still in control." "Not for long," Lily replied. "James and I have been working on something. You think you can just move on with her, with Vanessa, and pretend like nothing happened? You think I'd just let you get away with everything? The way you threw me out of my own home? The way you took everything we built together and handed it to her?" Her words stung, but Lily could see the realization dawning in Tom's eyes. He leaned forward, his voice quiet now, edged with desperation. "You're playing some kind of game here, aren't you, Lily? You've been plotting this whole thing, getting James involved, sabotaging my deals? Is that it?" Lily didn't flinch. Instead, she leaned forward too, matching his intensity. "No, Tom. I'm not playing a game. I'm taking back what's mine. The only thing I regret is not doing it sooner." For a moment, there was silence between them. Then Tom's shoulders slumped, as if the weight of her words had finally sunk in. He was defeated, but still he didn't fully surrender. "You've already won, Lily," he said, his voice barely audible. "You've destroyed everything. What more do you want from me?" Lily stared at him for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Finally she spoke, her words cutting like ice. "I want you to understand what happens when you betray someone who has given everything for you. You thought you could just replace me, move on with her, and get away with it. But you've lost everything, Tom. You lost me, you lost your business, and now you'll lose your reputation too." Tom opened his mouth to argue, but before he could speak, Lily stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. She turned to leave, her movements swift and decisive. But as she reached the door, she paused, casting one last glance at him over her shoulder. "And just so you know," she said with a cold smile, "Vanessa won't be the one you turn to when this is over. No one will be." With that, Lily walked out of the restaurant, her heels clicking against the floor as she left Tom behind, defeated and broken. Lily walked out into the cool night air, a sense of finality settling over her. The world that Tom had built, the life they once shared, was now in ruins. But Lily wasn't just walking away from him, she was walking into her future, a future she had created all on her own. And as she walked away, A small, satisfied smile tugged at the corners of her lips. She had taken back everything. What are your thoughts on this story? Please leave your comments, like and share this story.